Hey y'all, hey! I am LaQuisha Hall at Confident Canvas, and I'm so excited to bring to you this new journaling project that I have started this year in 2021 called Confident Canvas Travels. And this is my B5 Stylogy cover, and at the bottom it says walk on gold. This is a saying that I used to teach and still teach women and girls about stepping off of familiar territory and walking in their greatness. And so this statement means a lot to me, and I thought it would be appropriate for my travel journal, which I plan to travel to all 50 states this year by way of learning about all the different states. And the reason why this was even prompted is because I received this awesome gift from a friend. I was given this right before Christmas, and this is by National Geographic, beautifully illustrated and has so much great information inside. But what prompted me to want to read this was that all of the sections for each state are very short. So it's no more than 2 pages per state, packed with information, and it reads a little bit more like a narrative than it does a traveler's guide. And so as a result, I said, I want to read this, but I want to find a creative way to read it. And so I came up with this idea. And my plan is to share with you 2 places I travel to at a time. And so today I'm going to talk to you about New York and California. And I'll also show you my setup of my journal. So this is just the front page. And I got a lot of the traveling, I guess, ephemera and stickers and all this stuff from friends and Happy Mail. And so if you're curious about anything specific, just ask in the comments and I'll try to remember who specifically gave it to me or where I got it from, and I'll be more than happy to share. But this is my opening page. This is me. I'm just ready to travel. That's my ready to travel face, y'all. And then this is my first map, which I'm just coloring in the states as I travel. And so what I mean by coloring in is I've used some watercolor coloring pencils, and I've colored in all the states that I plan to travel to in January. And so I started in New York. And so what I would do is I colored all 5 states, but then I went back and watercolored over the state after I actually journaled about it and visited it. And so New York and California have been watercolored in because I have journaled about these 2 places already, and I have 3 more to go as of now for January. And so the next page you'll see is my itinerary for the whole year. So every week of the year, and there's 53 weeks scheduled here. So that gives me about 3 weeks of leeway. But I've put in the first 5 states again that I want to travel to, and then I'll watercolor them in as well. This is also done in watercolor pencil. And so these spaces have been left blank because I'm just going to kind of brainstorm during the year where I want to go. I will tell you though that my thinking behind this is right now I want to travel to hot places because it's cold where I am in Maryland. And so that's why I started with New York because of the celebration of New Year's Eve. And then I went to California, and then I'll be going to Nevada next because these are places where I can get some sun. And I know that I'm speaking as if I'm really there because y'all, I've been home since March 12th, 2020. I am all about doing whatever it takes to help myself feel that I have taken this journey. And so you'll see here, this map will be a little different from the first one you saw. So this one is where I'm literally just coloring in the places as I go, and this is just giving me a visual of places that I have left to visit. This map is showing me the order in which I went to all the places. So I started in New York, went to California, I'll be going to Nevada next, then Texas, then Louisiana. In February, I'll track the next places that I'll go in the same way. By the time I finish, this whole map will have lines and circles and states all over it identified. Also, there's a legend at the bottom. Each month I travel, those states will be in a different color. And so I just thought that would be a neat visual for this project as well. And this starts my winter section. It's winter in Maryland right now, and I'm going to track each season. So winter, spring, summer, and fall will be identified throughout my journal, and then I'll identify the places I traveled to. So this is my section for January. This is my January itinerary pages, and basically this is just like my dumping ground for all my extra stuff from the states that I traveled to that I didn't get to put on the actual journaling pages. And so here on this side you'll see the outlines of the states that I've been to already. So here's New York and California. And then here is just like a little page where I'm just kind of writing universally about all 5 places. And so I've been in New York and California already. Here I have a place from each of those states, Niagara Falls and Pacific Coast Highway. And then you'll see here is a picture of me in travel mode. I literally took this picture for this project because I did not get on anybody's plane that day, but that's okay. I felt good about this whole thing. And so I really dressed up and played the part. And I made my little travel day tag and put a little reminder here for anyone who looks in this book that this was not a physical journey, but a learning one. And then here, every time I travel to a state, I'm going to write about what I had to pack and briefly why. So for New York, I said nothing major. I'm staying in the Hamptons, of course, playing the role. And then for California, I said I'm going to the beach, taking several bathing suits. So this is like my dumping page for the month of January. Here is the start of New York. So for each of the states that I visit, there will be a starter page like this where you'll see what is called sketch notes of information that's important to that state. And so again, I use this book to collect the majority of the information that you'll see on these 2 pages. And I went in and I did a little doodling and a little watercoloring and things like that. I won't say that you'll see that throughout the rest because this was kind of time consuming. I put a lot of effort into this, but this really was an awesome learning opportunity because I definitely found out things that I either didn't know about New York or found very interesting. And so I want to show you what the actual journaling part of my trip looks like. So I'm in this group called the Fussy Cutting Cuties, led by Kelly Bangs and Paula from Crafty Destinations on Instagram. And they went to New York for New Year's Eve as well. So I accompanied them. And a lot of the graphics that you see, like these 2, came from the group as they have a day where they travel to a different place. It's called Take Me Away Day in the group. And so I was happy to join them. And what you'll see here is some journaling spaces that I created just to talk about New York. And so here you'll see that I made this section. It's just a little card that I covered with all things New York. And then I put my traveling picture here. And then I put other pictures that represent New York. So some of these I printed from the internet, like this one. And then there's specific places identified that I traveled to. And so the first place we went to was Central Park. And so behind this, I talked about that part of my trip. I will say that I learned a lot about Central Park, but I had a specific story in mind when reading about this location. And so that's why I covered this, because I don't want to share that publicly. But continued on my trip. Met up with the Fussy Cutting Cuties here, and I literally journaled about what that time could look like in New York based on the knowledge that I gained from the book when I read about New York. And so you'll see all this journaling here, and I'll highlight some of the things that I said we experienced. We traveled to the Empire State Building, and here I have some additional travel photos of that. And of course, this is around Christmas time and New Year's, and so I put some pictures to represent that. This is from the Fussy Cutting Cuties group, but I love what this says from Santa. It says, well, there are some things you should know about New York. First off, if you see gum on the street, leave it there. It isn't free candy. And so little cute things like that throughout my journaling. And then Paula of Crafty Destinations on Instagram, she's one of the leaders of the Fussy Cutting Cuties group. I actually met her in February of 2020, and so I printed this picture and talked about our trip together. She had talked about a restaurant called Rolf's, a German restaurant that she really liked in New York, and so I described our lunch date together there and put our picture here. And then next we went together to Macy's storefront where we met up with Kelly Bangs. And so here's this part of it. And of course, we had to arrive in a limo. And I just detailed what our shopping trip was like here. And then again at the bottom here. And these are images from the Fussy Cutting Cuties group. And then here we traveled. This was our mode of transportation. We took the subway, and here's my pass. This came from the Fussy Cutting Cuties group as well. One of the things I appreciate about the group is that they included a video where you could learn something specific about New York during that time. And so we learned about how they find the Christmas tree at the Rockefeller Center. And so I wrote about that next, and even put a picture of the tree here that represent the Rockefeller Center tree. This is Rockefeller Center as well, an image from the group. And I basically summarized what I learned about how they go through the process of not only finding the tree, but lighting it and presenting it to the world. And so I thought that was really cool information. If I had to pick the most interesting thing that I learned about the trip, it would be how they find the tree. And then here I talked about the Miracle on 34th Street area, and then how we went toward that, how I only got 40 minutes of sleep, and then we went right back out and had fun again, because of course New York is a city that doesn't sleep. And then it was I'm winding down. Here's my luggage. I put some more images here from the trip, and this page and this page are more so historical pages, and so I put here some information about the New York flag, why it's designed the way that it is. I also have 3 stamps that represent New York from 3 different time periods. So this one is from 1776 to 1976. This one is from I think 2002. And then this one's from my birth year, 1981, which features the state bird and flower. And so I also wrote the lyrics to the New York, New York song by Frank Sinatra here at the bottom, because I thought that that would be cool to accompany the spread. And then finally, on this side, I put this picture here because honestly, the image that I have of New York usually is of lights and movement and lots of people, so on and so forth. But sometimes people forget that New York can just be calm and quiet and very rural looking as well. And so I included this photo as well, which is actually taken in New York. And this is a historical picture from 1945. This was the photographer who captured this soldier kissing this woman during that time, right after World War II. I love history, y'all. I'm a teacher in real life, and so you'll see me including that kind of information because I love to learn. And so one of the other things that I included in this process was letting my friends on social media know that I was doing this project. And so people who were from these states, I asked them to send me any kind of correspondence of their choice, so that I could say that I visited them and highlight them in my journal. And so my first friend that I went to visit, outside of Paula and Kelly, of course, and the other fussy cutting cuties, was my friend Melissa in Staten Island. And so she sent me this really cute card with some really cool information about Staten Island. And she also, I have to say, this was just super cool of her. She sent me all these pictures. And she also wrote on the back of them what places in Staten Island they represented. And so I was able to write that same information alongside these photos. And so Melissa and I spent a day in Staten Island on the ferry and in the park. And also I just thought it was so cool how she talked about the Staten Island Chucks. And so we went to see them together. And so this was my trip with Melissa at Bunny Loves. And then my final stop, and I didn't get to you put this actually on a page because I got it after I had finished my entries. However, I went back to see her because she is important. So I got this cute New York City tag from my dear friend Kenya at Kay's Beautiful Struggle on Instagram. And so I described briefly that I had to go visit her in Astoria, New York, and that she was too cute in her outfit. So this picture represents her. And she also sent me this, which I would love to share with you all. So this is decorative paper that represents New York, but she also made this little pocket that is like a map of New York as well. And inside she included some ephemera and pictures to represent New York. And so I want to share that with you. I cut the seal myself and added that to this folder, but she included this outline of New York, this little tag detailing some of the places in New York, and these postcards. I thought that was so cool, and I also really think it's cool how she put this together in this really cool envelope that looks like she sewed it up for me. And so the way some people, just went all out with this, I was just so amazed and so grateful. And so I keep this clipped to this page because she definitely is included in my trip. And so this concluded my trip to New York. Yay! Okay, friends, trip to California. And then I had a great time here because I got to see more friends, and I cannot wait to share this experience with you all. So again, here's my 2-page spread of my sketchnoting from the book 50 States, 5,000 Ideas by National Geographic, where I learned about the state prior to doing the journaling about my experience. And so you'll see all kind of images that represent California here. And this was also another really cool exploration. One of the things that I can say was new or interesting for me to learn about California was that Michael Jackson lived in Santa Barbara. And so I am a huge Michael Jackson fan, and I just thought that was really cool. And so you'll see here some images that I was able to print to represent California. So the Golden Gate Bridge and Napa Valley Vineyards at sunset here. And then here at the bottom is my historical photo from 1936. And this is a 32-year-old woman of 7 children who were struggling during the Great Depression. And so I just like to look at the history of the place and not just what it currently looks like. And so on this side, I put similar information to what you saw about New York. So I included the flag here, the information about how the flag was created and why. And I included the 3 stamps again from the 3 different time periods, as well as some information about the state bird, flower, tree, capital, and when they became an official state. And just included myself here, I guess you can call that me, enjoying the ride through California, because California is very hot. And I learned from one of my friends who sent me mail from there about our trip that even during this time of year, the low could be 75 degrees. And so I was really excited about this. Perfect place to pick for January. So the first person that I went to visit was my friend Pam Poo. And she detailed for me on this card some of the things that she likes to do, or things that she would have done with me if I had physically traveled there. And so the activity that I picked that we did together was looking at hot air balloons in the skyline as we drank wine from Napa Valley. And so I included this little graphic here to represent myself on that day, because again, it was 75 degrees. According to, I think Pamela was the one that shared that with me. That's how warm it could be on the West Coast in winter. My next friend that I went to see was my friend Ashley. She is awesome. And if you're on Instagram, she is at Legacy of Love Creations. And I want to say that I was just so inspired by some of the things that she sent, because they all not only represent her where she lives in California, but she also created these stickers in her shop. And so she sent me this California sticker that has images that represent the state. And so here you'll see the poppy flower in here, which is the state flower. And then Clovis is where she lives in California, which was heavily affected by the California fires. And I was saddened by that, but I'm so glad that she is okay, and I'm praying for that area and praying for rain and whatever support is needed to support in the efforts of ending those wildfires. And so I did end up writing a prayer here for that area, as well as detailing on this side what Ashley and I did together. So what we ended up doing was touring her shop. She has a shop in Clovis, and then we also went shopping at some boutiques and antique stores afterwards, and then we went to go get lunch. And so she sent me this really beautiful card, and also she made this sticker as well, which I would love to share. It says, "God will bring you through the fire." And so this shape represents California, and this statement is from Psalm 66:12. And I stuck this on the inside so that I could remember to keep the area in prayer. After visiting Ashley, I went to visit my friend Kate, who is an educator. And she was just so thoughtful because she sent things that were made by students or young people. And so this card that she actually wrote to me in was made by young people who were doing a fundraiser, as well as the stickers that you see on the page. And so she told me, or shared with me in her note, that she's only an hour and a half away from the beach. And so Kate and I spent the whole day at the beach. That's all we did all day. And so you'll see beach life here and some surfboards. And then we went back to her home a little later in Redlands, which is where she lives, to play some video games. And then watch the sunset, which I also added. The next day, Sunday, I went with Lisa and Drea, who are Just Stitched and Drea _21 on Instagram. I went to church with them because you got to get up in the morning and praise the Lord. And so Lisa had actually sent me some happy mail. She is from California. Her happy mail was not necessarily for this project, but I included some of the elements that she sent to include her in it. And so she sent me this really cute vintage card. So this lady represents me going to church that day. And I also put in my journaling that Lisa stitched this for me because she is an excellent seamstress. And then I also I met Lisa at Drea's church. Drea's church is called Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley Church, and it's under Pastor David Rosales. And she shared with me that on the drive there you can see horses and ostriches. Oh gosh, I hate saying that word, but y'all know what I mean. The really, really cute bird. And after church we bought some tamales, and my mouth was on fire. So that was our Sunday. And then I continued my time with Drea, who sent me all of these cool resources about the next place that we traveled to, which was called Joshua Tree. And this is an area of famous boulders and fields and cacti and just really cool places to visit and look at, and really scenic. And so before we went there, we went to one of the top restaurants in America, and she sent me the menu from there. I just thought this was so cool. And so I actually used the menu to say what I ordered. Oh, and by the way, this is called the Kids Business, but they use the letters TKB. I'm not sure which one it's called, but I just wanted to make sure you knew both. But I said that I ordered an egg salad Sammy because I don't like spicy food. And so I really thought it was cool that I actually had the menu. And I included some information about that in my journaling, as well as this card. This card is a note that she wrote to me, and so I just keep that inside this little pocket that she actually sent in her happy mail as well. And Drea took this picture of a Joshua tree, and She put it on sticker paper, but I didn't have the heart to lay it down. I just thought it was so cool that she sent this, and I wanted to look at it again and again because I really think this is beautiful. And so I just used a cactus paper clip to clip it to this ephemera that she also sent in her mail. And so along with the pictures in the menu from the restaurant, she sent a lot of material for tourists about Joshua Tree. And so I used a lot of that information to craft out what our day looked like. And so we started our day by driving to the area, and this is Dre and I in our little car on our way there. And then we started by enjoying I don't know how to pronounce these places, y'all. So if I say it wrong, you're from the area, I apologize. But it says Pinto Basin, and we went to see the Cholla Cactus Garden in Acotillo Patch. And so, listen, if this project does nothing else, it is really teaching me a lot of stuff, because I never heard of any of these places or even this kind of cacti. And so I wrote about how we took pictures here and had to be careful not to get pricked. And we relaxed a little bit at Cottonwood Springs. This is a desert oasis. And then we went for a stroll. And then the next thing we did was we went to learn more about the Joshua Tree area, and I named him Ranger Sam. He taught us everything we needed to know. And then we went for a hike, but it was hot. And so I detailed here, or shared here, that we made sure that we had plenty of water. And then at night, what concluded my trip with Drea was we went camping together. So this is her and I in our little camping tent at night in the Joshua Tree area, and I had a great time with her. So we spent this whole day together, and it was long and it was cool. And this part I shared over here was kind of scary because you didn't know what was outside the tent at night. And so that concludes the first two stops that I made in 2021 to New York and to California. And so the next time you'll see me, I will be traveling to Nevada and Texas. And I can't wait to share that with you. Leave a comment, let me know if you're from the area, something maybe that I don't know, that I didn't share, and that you would love for me to know about that area. Or if you're interested in sending me some type of correspondence to detail our seeing each other in your state, send me a message and let me know, and I'd be more than happy to send you my mailing address so that I can include you in future entries whenever I get to your state. Thanks so much for joining, you all, and have a great day.